Rockstar families, and welcome to our weekly VODCAST as we get into the month of April, if you can believe it. I have a couple of quick announcements and then I'm going to send you off to the strategy session. First of all, I would like to congratulate our Rockstar of the Week, Mr. Jack Tippling. Jack is our Rockstar of the Week because of his amazing use and number sense this week during our measurement unit when we were around the classroom measuring a number of different objects. I was really impressed with his application of that. So he is our rock star of the week. A few other announcements. First of all, I'm going to show you my Dojo app. If you're using the Dojo app on an Apple product or on an Android device, the new the software has actually been updated for a new messaging service. It's actually kind of cool. So this is kind of what yours will look like, and I think maybe my screen is going to glow. But anyway, it will show up with messaging. So I will send out whole class broadcasts, and then you can also message me individually with any questions about Class Dojo. So it's a really quick and easy way to communicate about Dojo. So if you simply update your app on an iPad, Apple, Android device, that messaging service will show up. So I'm really excited about that, and feel free to use it. I know some of you already have. Middle school orientation is slated for next Thursday, April 10th. More information will be coming home as soon as Mrs. Gardella sends that along to me. I know that it's in the morning, and transportation is totally provided, all of that. Next up, last week we actually sent home the information about our yard crashers. We will be crashing the yard of a community member in the Vista Woods neighborhood, and we're asking that your Rockstar sign up for a time to come and perform some community service by helping to red up the yard of this individual. We sent home the papers last week. We do have time set aside for each house if they would like to come during their house time, but if that does not work, we're more than willing to have them come at another time if their specific 45-minute time slot for their house does not work. Now, if you're able and willing to donate any type of supplies for that, we actually have a Sign Up Genius going. The link to the Sign Up Genius for the donations for our Yard Crasher project is actually available on our Class Fusion page. So be sure to visit that, and I'll show you it in a second during our strategy session. A couple other announcements. Report cards, both Barrett Academy and Stafford County Public Schools academic report card will be coming home on April 15th. The science fair is slated for April 17th, Thursday, right before spring break there. All the students will be receiving information this week. They will be required to complete a project in class. They do not have to enter it in the Science Expo, but man, I'm telling you, if they're going to put all the time and effort into this, I hope that they enter it into the Science Expo. We'll be having members from the FBI coming in to assist in judging. And that reminds me really quickly, on Wednesday, the whole 5th grade will actually, the FBI has actually adopted our school. So they come in and perform lessons here and now, based on our curriculum. So on Wednesday morning from 10 to 11, the whole 5th grade will actually have the FBI in for a lesson, I believe, centered around geology, kind of going back to Earth movements and the rock cycle like we learned earlier in the year. So that's pretty exciting. And finally, spring break is coming up April 21st to the 25th. Now, one more thing that I want to pass along before I send you off to the strategy session is this. Starting on Tuesday, as you know, we still have our science, social studies, math, and reading SOLs coming up in the month of May. Dates are still tentative, so as soon as they become final, I will definitely pass those along. It looks like we're going to have about one SOL a week throughout the month of May into the first month of June. But this schedule is actually going to be coming home, and this is going to help us to review for science and social studies, because as you may know, our science test is actually testing all of the knowledge that the Rockstars learned back in 4th grade in science and in 5th grade, and our social studies will be on all of U.S. History 1 to the year 1865. So this schedule will come home along with a bunch of study guides attached to it. And as you can see here, the first topic is actually the scientific process. We're reviewing some 4th grade content. The study guide will be labeled Section A. It tells you the date that it's supposed to be studied, Tuesday, April 1st, and since that is April Fool's Day, I'm not kidding. And finally, then there will be about a 5 to 10 question quiz the following day for each of these, just to kind of test their knowledge and make sure that we have that down. Okay, and then the next day, on Wednesday, the students will be studying motion, and that will be section B on the study guide, and then on Thursday, they'll have the quiz. Now, you're probably like, are they just going to be studying these? No, we'll actually be reviewing the concept in class of the day that it says to study. So on Tuesday in class, for about 15 minutes, we'll be reviewing the scientific process and all of the material that was taught in 4th grade. This is really to get our minds going because, as you can see, this schedule is parked right up to our SOL. We literally have a lot of content to cover. So we just have a quick study session each night, and then a quiz the following day, just 5 to 10 questions, nothing big, just to make sure that we have that content down. But let me assure you that we'll be reviewing it in class as well to make sure that we have it down. And I broke it down in a way that it's not too much at any one time. And coming home, I'll show you really quickly. Attached to this sheet, which probably should stay in your Rockstars binder the whole time, will be these refrigerator study cards. So this is a page that will be studied for the first quiz, the scientific process. Okay, they'll be very easily labeled, but it's going to be a great way to study and prepare for the SOLs since they are tested on material also from 4th grade as well. I thank you in advance for your support of that. Now I'm going to turn you over to the strategy session, and I will see you on the other. Okay, Rockstars, so first I'm going to start off on our class fusion page for the day. A couple of quick things before we get into the actual math, science, social studies, etc. First of all, last Monday was our bedroom blitz. I know that many of you have been waiting to see the results of that. Well, you can actually check out the winning bedroom and the video if you click on the YouTube link on our class fusion page. I put together a little video to kind of sum up the day. So congratulations to our winners. We were so happy to perform that service for some of our Barrett Academy scholars, and we're hoping to have that again next fall. Another area I just want to direct you really quickly is for our Yard Crashers project. It's quickly approaching on Saturday, April 12th. We have our Sign Up Genius link here under the Barrett Academy Yard Crashers. I'm going to take you to it real quick. We have a ton of things we're asking for, and even if you can, donate a $5 gift card to Lowe's or Home Depot, that will help us to kind of offset some of the items on our wish list. And we're asking if those items can be brought to school, or let us know that you have them by Friday, April 11th, so that we can plan accordingly the day after. Obviously, the day of the Yard Crashers, if your Rockstar is attending, wear old clothes. They don't have to wear Barrett Academy attire just because, when we're working outside, it may get a little messy. Okay, now I'm going to take us over to a little bit of math. This week in math, last week in math, in the future in math, we're really focused on measurement. Okay, so to start off the week last week, we started with length. Okay, and a couple of things that I really just want the Rockstars to work on at home right now would just be to ask themselves, what would you use to measure blank? So maybe a pencil. They may use inches to measure that, because we have a couple of different units, and we actually have the customary system, customary units, and we actually have the metric system. Okay, the customary system is used in the United States. You see it all around. So when we're measuring the length, the distance from one point to another, some units that you may find would include the inch. You may find feet, and you may find yards, and you may find miles. These all measure distance from one point to another. Now, when we're talking the metric system, most of the other parts of the world use the metric system, as well as the entire science world. So some measurements there, some units of measure there that would measure length, the distance from one point to another, include the millimeter, the centimeter, the meter, and the kilometer, or the kilometer. Now, something you probably noticed that the Rockstars really picked up on this week is the fact that the metric system is so easy to use. Why? Because it's all based on base 10, what the Rockstars have been learning all through school in math. The base 10 system of numbers, essentially. And as you can see here, every single system of measure, every single unit of measurement for length has a word meter in it. Okay, so Rockstars, you can get 1/4 of a point for every object, a maximum of 10. that you write down and tell me what would you use in both the customary and the metric system. So I'm going to give you an example now that you're not allowed to use. Let's say that I'm going to measure the length of a pencil. Okay, so here's my pencil. I would write it down, I could draw it, etc. Okay, and that's the length of my pencil. I've been using it for a pretty long period of time, so it's kind of dull. So first I'm going to stop at the customary units and I'm going to say, okay, what am I going to use? Well, I think I'm going to use inches because an inch is close to the tip of your thumb to the first knuckle. That's about 1 inch. So I'm going to use inches. Okay, now the other thing that I'm looking for the rock stars to do is actually to give an estimate. So if you want the quarter point for each item that you write down, you need to tell me the unit you would use, but also an estimate. So about how many is this? Well, this distance would be probably about 1 thumb length. This would be another thumb length, and I'd say let's go with 2 1/2 inches. Okay, but I also want the rock stars to use the metric system. So this is kind of like a battle, you know. We have the customary system, which is used in much of the United States for baking, for building, for different things like that. But then we have the metric system, which is much easier to use because of converting, which we're going to look at in a second. Now, a millimeter is about the side of a coin. So that would be like this. That's 1 millimeter, okay, the width of this line. A centimeter is about your pinky fingernail. A meter is about the width of a door, and a kilometer is about 4 city blocks. So what am I going to use to measure this? Well, a millimeter is too small, so I'm definitely going to measure this pencil with centimeters. Now, about how many centimeters is it? About how many pinky fingernails? Well, let me choose a new color. I'm going to say it's probably about 1, 2. I'd say there's about 2 centimeters in an inch, but that's just an estimate right now in my head. So I'm going to say that this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centimeters. So I'm going to say 5 centimeters. So if you want a quarter point for each of these guys, you got to write down, draw the object that you're estimating, write down your estimate, and write down the unit of measurement of length for both the customary system and the metric system, and you can submit up to a total of 10 different objects for a quarter point. So if you put those together, 4 and 4 would equal 2 whole house points, and you got 2 left over, so you can earn a maximum of 2.5 house points if you want to submit that, guys. Now, let me erase real quick because I actually want to go up here. Okay. One of the big things we're going to work on in class, and we already started last week, was converting metric units of measurement. So this is a metric system, and this is why it's so beautiful, because you can use length, weight, or mass, and capacity, and you can convert it flawlessly because it's all based on powers of 10. Okay, so this is 1/1000th of a meter, etc. Okay, and then as you go up the stairs, you're getting into larger units like the kilometer. So what I want the rock stars to work on with this is actually to work on converting some units of measurement. So I have 4 problems here. You can get 1 house point per problem that you do, and I'm already doing one with you, the first one, so you can automatically get one for that, guys. So if I have 1 9/10 centimeter, first I'm going to mark where I'm at here. So I have my centimeter, right? Now I need to find out where I'm going. So I want to find the equivalent measurement of 1 9/10 centimeters for meters. So that's going to take 1 step, 2 steps. Okay, so essentially what that means is I went to the left. Okay, so I'm dividing, and I'm dividing by 100. Okay, or I'm taking 2 steps up. So all that I essentially have to do is take my decimal point and move it 2 spaces to the left. Now I'm going to have to insert my decimal and my 0. So 1 9/10 centimeters is equivalent to 19 thousandths of a meter. Okay, and there's a big question that we were working on last week in class, guys, that we want to continue to work on this week, and that question is my answer reasonable? Okay, so if I'm saying about 2 pinky fingernails, okay, is equivalent to this, 1 meter is about the width of a door, so that sounds right. And the reason that we do this is because, let me show you something real quick that a lot of the rock stars were doing last week when we first started. And this all depends on the way that you move the decimal. Say that I moved my decimal 2 places to the right, okay? And that would say that I end up with 190 meters. Now, if I'm asking myself, was my answer reasonable? About 2 pinky fingernails is equivalent to 190 meters, which would be 190 meter sticks or 190 widths of doors. So that tells me that's not reasonable. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and solve the 3 of these, and while you're asking yourself, is my answer reasonable? That's the big thing that we're hitting home today. You can get a house point for each, guys. So you can end with our math review with 6 1/2 house points, which would be pretty big right now for the house race. Now I'm going to turn this over to a few other things. I do once again want to point you to the 40 book goal questions. Our focus for the next few weeks is author's purpose, which is essentially why did the author write what they wrote. These questions are great guiding questions while your rockstar is reading at home. All of the guided reading groups right now are working on some form of a novel, so these would be excellent things to tie in. Okay, we're using a lot of discussion group techniques, higher level thinking questions, and many things like that. So to kind of put it in with author's purpose and direct it towards that would be excellent and an excellent tie-in for this reading comprehension skill. Okay, a couple of other quick things that I'm going to point you to if you come way down here to class news would be SOL Pass. Right now we're in the middle of our sound unit and we're in the middle of social studies learning about the Constitution, the 3 branches of government, and the first 5 presidents. So if you take a look at SOL Pass, that's an amazing site to review all of this. You can actually, if you go to the elementary school tab, you can hit U.S. History to 1865 or Science 4.5, and these are both amazing sources to work on studying. Right now we're in the New Nation unit. So there's a study guide, there's an Articles of Confederation quiz, there's a Constitution Millionaire game, the first 5 presidents list, just a ton of amazing resources. And like I told you earlier in the VODCAST, the study guide to review for the SOL will come home on Tuesday. That will be the first day of it, and it will run through June. So we're just asking the rock stars to take 10 to 15 minutes each night to study the topic that is on that schedule. And I will also post a PDF version of that schedule here under Class Rockstar Documents in case your child leaves it at home. Now I'm going to turn you back over to Mr. Reichert. Okay, Rockstar families, I hope that you found those strategies to be extremely successful. I hope that you have a chance to download the new Dojo app so that we can use the messaging service if you have any questions, comments, concerns about Class Dojo. I am so excited to be heading into the month of April with your children. We are going to learn so very much during this month before spring break, and man, I can't believe we have about 50 days of school left, if you can believe it. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, do not hesitate to contact me. You are the best families in Stafford County, and we'll see you next week.